The market was loud, filled with alien voices, and yet one corner was strangely silent. Stalls of glowing fruits, jars of strange liquids, and weapons made of crystal were on display. But among the colors and noise, one little girl stood alone. Her skin was pale silver, her clothes torn and dirty, and her eyes wide with hunger. She pressed her small hands to her stomach, but no one in the busy crowd looked at her. A human traveler, Marcus, walked slowly through the market. He had seen many planets, but this place felt colder than the frozen moons he had crossed. It was not the weather, it was the people. They looked at him with suspicion, whispering behind sharp teeth and glowing eyes. Yet it was not their stares that caught his attention. It was the little girl. She looked so weak that Marcus thought she might fall at any moment. He stopped. In his hand, he carried a small packet of food rations, something simple but enough to fill his stomach. He crouched down in front of her. "Are you hungry?" he asked softly. The girl's eyes widened. She wanted to answer, but her lips trembled. She gave the smallest nod. Marcus tore the packet open and placed it in her hands. Her fingers shook as she held it. For a second she stared, not believing it was real. Then she ate with desperate speed, as if someone might take it away. People in the market stopped. One by one, heads turned. Murmurs spread quickly through the crowd. Alien voices hissed, some gasped, others pointed. Marcus frowned. Why were they reacting like this? He had only given food to a starving child. The girl ate until her small hands were smeared with crumbs. She looked up at him with tearful eyes. "Thank you," she whispered in a fragile voice. Words heavy with relief. That single moment of kindness felt warm to Marcus, but the air around them grew colder. From the other side of the street, a tall woman came running. Her silver skin was marked with glowing lines, her hair braided in thick cords that shimmered faintly. She wore clothes that were simple yet carried an old elegance. Her eyes were full of panic as she reached the girl and pulled her close. "What have you done?" she whispered, staring at Marcus. Marcus stood, confused. "I only gave her food. She looked like she needed it." The woman's face turned pale, almost fearful. She looked at the people watching, then back at him. "You don't understand. You cannot take it back now." "Take what back?" Marcus asked. His voice was calm, but unease stirred in his chest. The woman clutched her daughter tightly. Her hands trembled as if she held a secret too heavy to carry. She looked at Marcus with eyes that were not angry, but resigned, as if fate had already decided something. Around them, the whispers grew louder. The alien crowd stepped back, creating a circle. The words they spoke carried fear and awe. Some looked at Marcus with pity, others with envy, and a few with deep respect. The little girl leaned into her mother, not understanding the weight of what had happened. Marcus only felt the pressure of dozens of eyes on him. Finally, the woman spoke again, her voice almost breaking. "You gave my daughter food. By our ancient laws, she is now yours, and so am I." The words struck him like thunder. For a moment, Marcus thought he had misheard. He opened his mouth, then closed it, unable to form a reply. The market grew silent. Every alien stood still, waiting for his response. Marcus's heart pounded. What law could bind someone over such a small act? What had he stepped into? He had traveled the stars, fought in battles, survived the harshest worlds, but never had he felt a weight like this. The woman bowed her head slightly, shame in her eyes. "You may not know it, human, but kindness here is not free. By feeding her, you claimed her. By our law, you claimed me. If you refuse, the punishment will be worse than death, for you, for me, and for her." Marcus looked at the girl. Her small silver eyes shone with innocence, her face soft with hope. She had no idea of the ancient law that wrapped around them like chains. He swallowed hard, the taste of fear and confusion mixing on his tongue. He had only given food, but that simple act had opened a door he could not close. The whispers turned into a chant. The crowd spoke in one voice, repeating the old words of their people. Marcus could not understand them, but he felt the meaning in his bones. The mother gripped her daughter tighter, then whispered again, almost pleading, "You gave her food. Now, human, you are bound to us." Marcus stood frozen in the center of the market, every eye watching, every breath held. He had no idea what future awaited him, but one thing was certain. His life would never be the same again. The market had never been so quiet. Dozens of eyes still followed Marcus, their expressions a strange mix of fear, curiosity, and something close to reverence. He had traveled through many alien worlds, but this silence felt heavier than any battlefield he had known. The alien woman held her daughter close, her silver skin shimmering under the faint market lights. The girl looked at Marcus with soft, innocent eyes, unaware of the storm her mother was fighting inside. The mother's lips trembled as she finally spoke again. "You don't understand what you've done," she whispered. Marcus frowned. His voice was steady, though his mind spun. "I gave her food. That's all?" The woman shook her head slowly, almost as if she pitied him. "Here, food is not a gift. Food is life. And when you offer life to a child not your own, the old laws awaken. You have bound yourself to her. And to me." He wanted to laugh it off, to tell her it was nonsense, but the look in her eyes froze him. This wasn't superstition. This was something deeper, etched into the very culture of her people. The crowd began whispering louder, their alien tongues weaving into one phrase that Marcus could not translate. Yet he felt its meaning in his bones. The chant pulsed like a drum, low and heavy, pressing on his chest. The little girl tugged her mother's sleeve. "Mama, why are they staring?" The woman hushed her gently, smoothing her tangled hair. She kept her gaze fixed on Marcus as though he now carried the weight of her future. Marcus clenched his fists. "You're saying, by giving her food, I somehow agreed to take responsibility for both of you? That doesn't make sense. No law can force that." The woman's jaw tightened. "It is not about sense. It is about survival. These laws were written long before you or I were born. When our people were starving in the old wars, when children died in the dust, it was said that anyone who fed another's child must be ready to claim them as family. That law kept us alive. It kept the orphans safe." Marcus felt the blood drain from his face. He glanced at the girl again. She was so small, so fragile, and now the weight of her entire future was being tied to him because of a single meal. The whispers in the crowd shifted into hissing arguments. Some pointed at him with narrow eyes, others shook their heads. A few even nodded with approval, as though fate had chosen well. A sharp voice cut through the noise. "The human must face the council." The crowd echoed with agreement. The mother's face turned pale. She lowered her head, whispering quickly, "If they summon you, you cannot refuse. To deny them is death." Marcus's stomach twisted. He was a soldier once, used to orders and battlefields, but this was something entirely different. He hadn't asked for this, and yet every pair of glowing eyes demanded it of him. He bent slightly closer to the woman. "What's your name?" She blinked at the question, startled. "Azira. And hers?" he asked, nodding to the child. "Lyra," Sira whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. Marcus repeated the names under his breath, grounding himself. "Sira, Lyra, I didn't mean to cause trouble, but I won't abandon you." Her eyes softened for the briefest moment, then quickly filled with fear again as a group of tall, armored aliens pushed through the crowd. Their armor glowed with shifting patterns, symbols carved like fire across their plates. The people stepped aside, bowing their heads. The leader raised a clawed hand and pointed directly at Marcus. "The law has been spoken. He has fed the child. He must be judged." The words echoed through the market like a sentence. Marcus stood tall, but inside he felt the pull of 1,000 questions. Judged? For what? By whom? What if he failed? Would they kill him or worse, punish Sira and her daughter? Sira grabbed his arm, her hand trembling. "Do not anger them. Speak with respect. You must survive this." Her grip told him she was not only afraid for herself, but for him too. Something inside Marcus stirred, a protective instinct, the same that had made him kneel and feed a starving child in the first place. The guards surrounded him. One leaned closer, his voice like grinding stone. "Come with us, human. The council waits." Marcus looked once more at the little girl. She clutched the empty ration pack to her chest as if it were treasure. Her wide eyes searched his face with silent trust. He gave a faint nod to reassure her, though his own heart raced. Then he let the guards lead him through the crowd, the whispers chasing him like shadows. Behind him, Sira whispered something too soft for him to hear. But he caught one word, spoken with both dread and fragile hope. Bound. The path to the council chambers was long and carved in stone that glowed faintly in the dark. Marcus walked between two armored guards, their steps heavy, their eyes forward. Behind them, Sira held her daughter close, walking quickly to keep up. The silence of the crowd behind still followed them, like an echo that would not die. Inside Marcus's mind was a storm. He had faced soldiers, assassins, even alien beasts, but this felt different. This was not a fight of weapons, but of laws. Laws he did not understand. One act of kindness had placed him in the center of a tradition older than his own species' history. He glanced back at Sira. Her face was hard to read, but her eyes told a story. They were filled with fear, yes, but also with something else. Guilt, sorrow, and perhaps even gratitude. When they reached the council chamber, the guards stopped at the entrance. The great doors opened slowly, revealing a hall that seemed alive. Symbols glowed across the walls, ancient runes that pulsed like veins of light. Torches burned with blue fire, filling the air with smoke that smelled of bitter herbs. The guards motioned Marcus inside. Sira followed without hesitation, still clutching Lyra's hand. As they stepped in, Marcus lowered his voice and spoke to her. "Sira, tell me the truth. What happens if I fail their judgment?" She looked at him for a long moment. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. Then finally she whispered, "If you fail, they will take her from me, from us. She will be given to the high families as a servant. And I will be cast out, marked as unfit." Marcus stopped walking for a second. The thought of the little girl, innocent, hungry, still holding an empty food wrapper being torn from her mother made his blood boil. He clenched his fists. "All this because I gave her food?" Sira's voice trembled. "Yes, that is our law. It was meant to protect, but over time, it became a weapon. The council uses it to control, to bind, to judge. I should have stopped you, warned you before you gave her food. But when I saw her eat, I could not." Her words carried heavy regret, as if she blamed herself for everything. Marcus's steps grew heavier as they approached the raised platform where the council elders sat. He whispered back, "So you're caught too. You didn't choose this any more than I did." Sira lowered her head. "No. But the moment you opened that ration pack, my fate was sealed with yours. The law does not care about intention. It only cares about the act." The council chamber was filled with alien elders, each seated in tall stone chairs shaped like jagged wings. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dim light, watching Marcus as if he were a rare animal brought before them. The eldest among them leaned forward. His voice was deep and sharp, echoing across the hall. "Human, you fed the child. You know what this means." Marcus stood tall, though his chest felt heavy. "I only gave her food because she was starving." "That's all." The elder's eyes narrowed. "There is no only. The law is clear. She is bound to you, and so is her mother. Will you claim them? Or will you reject the law of our ancestors?" The words cut deep. Marcus looked at Sira, then at little Lyra. The girl clung to her mother's side, staring up at him with innocent trust. He could not imagine walking away, but he also knew nothing about their customs, their world, their punishments. What if he failed them both by accepting? Before he could answer, Sira stepped forward. She bowed her head deeply before the council. Her voice was quiet but strong. "Honored elders, this human does not understand our ways. He acted from mercy, not ambition. If he has broken the law, the fault is mine. Punish me, not him." Her words sent a ripple of whispers across the chamber. Marcus's eyes widened. She was offering herself up to save him, even though she had just admitted that punishment could mean being cast out forever. Marcus's jaw tightened. He stepped forward beside her. "No, she did nothing wrong. You want judgment? Then judge me. I fed the child. I'll face whatever trial you have." The council leader studied them in silence. His glowing eyes flickered like embers. Then he raised a clawed hand. "So be it. The human will face the trial. The mother and child will remain under guard until his worth is proven." The guard stepped forward again, taking position near Sira and Lyra. Sira's face was pale, her hands trembling as she pulled her daughter close. For the first time since Marcus met her, her strong mask broke. He could see it. The fear of losing everything, the pain of being helpless, and the faint spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, this stranger could succeed. As Marcus was led toward the trial chamber, Sira's voice echoed in his mind. "If you fail, they will take her from me." He had come here as a traveler, a soldier passing through unknown worlds, but now he was something more, whether he wanted it or not. He was their protector, and he could not let them down. The council chamber grew colder, though no wind touched the stone walls. The glowing runes along the ceiling pulsed brighter, as if the very hall was alive, waiting for judgment. Marcus stood in the center of the chamber floor, while Sira and little Lyra were held back by two guards. The distance between them felt like an ocean. The eldest elder leaned forward, his silver skin marked with deep lines of age. His eyes glowed like pale fire. When he spoke, the hall seemed to tremble. "Human traveler," he said, his voice sharp and slow. "You have awakened an ancient law. Mercy binds more strongly than chains. But mercy must be proven worthy." Marcus's jaw tightened. He wanted to argue, to say this was madness. But one look at Sierra holding her daughter silenced him. She was trembling, her face pale, her arms wrapped protectively around Lyra. If he failed here, it would not only cost him his life, it would destroy theirs. The elder raised a clawed hand. "You shall face the trial of tradition. Only through fire and spirit will it be known if you are fit to honor what you have claimed." A low murmur spread through the chamber. The words trial of tradition echoed on alien tongues spoken with fear and reverence. Marcus frowned. "And if I refuse?" The elder's eyes narrowed. "Then your blood will stain this floor, and the child and her mother will belong to no one. They will be cast into the streets unprotected until death finds them." The words struck Marcus harder than any blade. He glanced again at Sierra. She shook her head slightly as if begging him not to risk himself. But her eyes betrayed her hope. Marcus straightened his back. His voice was steady. "Then I'll face it." The chamber erupted with noise. Some of the council members muttered angrily, others nodded. The elder raised his hand again and silence returned. "So be it. The trial begins at dawn." The guards surrounded Marcus, preparing to escort him away. But before they could move, Sierra cried out, "Wait!" Her voice echoed against the high walls. All eyes turned to her. She stepped forward, bowing deeply. "Honored elders, I beg you. Spare the human this trial. He does not know our ways. He does not know our strength. He gave food from compassion, not from ambition. Punish me instead. Cast me out, but let him go." Her plea filled the chamber like a broken song. Marcus's chest tightened. She was willing to sacrifice herself just to shield him. The elder regarded her with cold eyes. "You are bound as well. His trial is your fate. You cannot take his place." The guards began to move Marcus again, but this time he spoke, his voice clear and sharp. "If this is about worth, then I'll prove it. Not for me, but for them. You say mercy binds stronger than chains, then let's see if your laws honor mercy at all." The elder's lips curled into a faint, almost cruel smile. "We shall see." The guards led Marcus to a small holding chamber beneath the council hall. The walls glowed faintly with runes, humming with energy that made the air feel heavy. They left him there with nothing but silence. Above, Sierra and Lyra were taken to another chamber. The little girl clung to her mother's robes, her voice trembling. "Mama, will he be okay?" Sierra knelt before her daughter, brushing her silver hair gently. Her voice was soft, though her heart ached. "I don't know, my star, but he is brave. Braver than anyone I have seen." Lyra looked at her with wide eyes. "Do you trust him?" Sierra hesitated. Her people had always whispered that humans were reckless, dangerous, weak in spirit. But Marcus had stood tall before the council, had not backed away even when threatened with death. He had fed her child without hesitation, and now he was risking his life for both of them. Sierra's eyes softened. "Yes," she whispered at last. "I trust him." Back in the holding cell, Marcus sat against the cold stone, his mind racing. He had faced war before, but this was different. He didn't know what kind of trial awaited him. Was it combat? A puzzle of wisdom? A test of pain? The unknown was worse than any weapon. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply. One step at a time, he told himself. He had not asked for this, but he had been given it. And now he could not let down the child who had looked at him with trust, or the mother who had begged to take his place. Hours passed slowly, until finally, the sound of heavy doors opening broke the silence. Guards entered, their armor glowing faintly. One spoke in a gravelly voice. "The dawn has come. It is time." Marcus stood, his muscles tense but his spirit unbroken. As they led him toward the trial grounds, he whispered under his breath, "Hold on, Lyra, hold on. Sierra, I won't fail you." The doors ahead opened wide, and light poured in, harsh, blinding, and full of unknown danger. The great doors opened, and Marcus stepped into the trial ground. The place was an ancient arena, carved deep into the stone of the planet itself. Torches of blue fire lined the walls, and thousands of alien eyes stared down from the stands. The air was thick with expectation, heavy with old chants that made the ground feel alive. At the far end stood the council elders, watching from a raised platform. Their glowing eyes reflected the fire. Sierra and little Lyra were kept near them under guard, forced to witness what would happen. Lyra gripped her mother's hand tightly, fear making her small body shake. Marcus looked around. The arena floor was rough, marked with deep cracks as if many battles had been fought here before. He swallowed, steadying his breath. So this is it, he thought. Trial by tradition, the eldest elder's voice echoed.
Human, you fed the child?
Mercy binds you, but mercy without strength is hollow. Prove you are worthy. Survive the trial or fall and the bond will be broken. The crowd roared, their voices like a storm. Then the gates on the other side of the arena creaked open. From the shadows came a deep growl, low and thunderous. Marcus narrowed his eyes. Out stepped a massive beast. Its skin was like black stone, glowing cracks running across its body like rivers of fire. Its eyes blazed red and its claws dug into the earth as it moved. The creature's breath came out as smoke and its roar shook the entire arena. Lyra screamed, clinging to her mother. Sira held her close, her own face pale with dread. She whispered almost to herself, "The guardian beast." Marcus's heart raced, but he didn't move back. He had fought monsters before, though none quite like this. He had no weapon, only his wits and his will. The beast snarled, lowering its head, ready to charge. The elder raised his hand. "Begin!" The ground shook as the beast lunged forward, claws tearing stone apart. Marcus dodged to the side, rolling across the cracked earth just in time. Dust flew and the crowd roared louder. Marcus pushed himself up, panting. "All right, big guy," he muttered under his breath. "Let's see what you've got." The beast swung its tail, massive and heavy like a battering ram. Marcus jumped, but the tail clipped his side, throwing him across the arena. Pain shot through his ribs as he hit the ground. From the stands, voices rose in excitement. Many expected the human to fail quickly, but Marcus slowly stood again, wiping blood from his lip. He wasn't finished, he studied the beast. Its body glowed at the cracks, weak spots. Maybe they weren't just decoration. Maybe that was its weakness. The beast roared and charged again. Marcus ran toward the wall, dodging at the last second. The beast's head slammed into the stone, cracking it. For a moment it was stunned. Marcus grabbed a sharp piece of broken rock and drove it into one of the glowing cracks on its leg. The beast howled, stumbling back. Blue fire burst from the wound and the crowd gasped. Up on the platform, Sira's eyes widened. Hope flickered across her face. She whispered, "He's learning." "He's fighting with his mind, not just strength." Marcus tightened his grip on the bloody stone. "So you do bleed," he said grimly. The beast turned, angrier now. Its glowing cracks blazed brighter. It opened its jaws and spewed a burst of fire across the arena. Marcus dove behind a fallen stone pillar, the heat searing the air. His skin burned, but he forced himself to move. He thought quickly, "If I keep hitting the cracks, I might bring it down. But one mistake, and I'm ash." The beast roared again and charged, shattering the pillar Marcus hid behind. Dust filled the air. From within the smoke, Marcus leapt, climbing onto the beast's back. With the jagged stone still in his hand, he drove it deep into the glowing crack along its neck. The beast screamed, its body thrashing violently. Marcus held on with all his strength. The creature slammed itself against the wall, trying to throw him off, but Marcus drove the stone deeper, twisting it with every ounce of his strength. Finally, the beast staggered, flames bursting from its cracks like dying embers. With one last cry, it collapsed to the arena floor, the ground shaking as it fell. Silence filled the arena for a heartbeat. Then the crowd erupted in thunderous cheers and gasps. Marcus slid off the beast, falling to his knees, chest heaving. His hands were burned and bloody, but his eyes were fierce. He had survived. Sira covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. She looked at her daughter, who whispered in awe, "Mama." "He did it," the eldest elder stood, his voice echoing again. "The trial is complete. The human has proven his worth." The guards stepped back from Sira and Lyra, no longer holding them. The law had been satisfied. Marcus, still kneeling on the ground, looked up at Sira. Their eyes met across the arena, her gaze full of relief and gratitude, his steady with determination. In that moment, Marcus knew this was no longer just about laws or trials. He had chosen them, and nothing would make him let go. The guardian beast lay dead, its body cracked and smoking, blue fire fading slowly into darkness. The arena that had once roared with anticipation was now silent, as though the entire world held its breath. Marcus stood in the middle of the scorched ground, his body trembling, blood trickling from cuts across his arms. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. The jagged rock he had used as a weapon dropped from his hand, hitting the floor with a dull sound. Above him, The crowd erupted. Some cheered wildly, others cried out in disbelief, and many simply stared. A human had faced the trial of tradition and survived. Few of their own people had ever done so. Syrah's knees gave way. She clutched Lyra close, tears falling freely down her face. Relief mixed with awe, her heart pounding so hard she could barely breathe. She had prayed for this moment, yet part of her had never believed it could happen. Lyra's small voice broke the silence between them. "Mama, he won. He really won." Syrah kissed the top of her daughter's head. Her whisper shook. "Yes, my star. He did." The eldest elder rose slowly from his seat on the high platform, his glowing eyes locked onto Marcus. "The trial is complete. The law accepts his strength." Guards stepped aside from Syrah and her daughter. No longer prisoners, no longer bound in fear, they were free because the human had proven himself. Marcus raised his head, his gaze searching for them. When his eyes met Syrah's, there was no need for words. She saw his exhaustion, his pain, but also his fierce determination. He had fought not for himself, but for them. The elder's voice carried again, echoing across the arena. "By ancient law, the bond is sealed. The child is his. The mother is his. What mercy began, strength has confirmed." The words struck the air like thunder. The crowd bowed their heads in acceptance. The law was sacred. No one could deny it. Syrah rose slowly, holding Lyra's hand, and stepped toward the arena floor. Her heart raced with every step. When she reached Marcus, she stopped, her silver eyes shining with gratitude and something more, something she did not dare name. "You should not have risked your life for us," she whispered. Marcus gave a faint smile, though his body trembled from pain. "I didn't risk it. I chose it." Syrah's throat tightened. Her people had always spoken of humans as weak, reckless outsiders who didn't belong. Yet this man had stood before her council, fought a beast of fire and stone, and claimed them with nothing but courage. She lowered her head. "Then from this day, we are yours." The words felt heavy, but not with fear, rather with an unexpected sense of belonging. Lyra stepped forward, her small hands wrapping around Marcus's arm. She looked up at him with wide, innocent eyes. "Are you really my family now?" Marcus knelt slowly, ignoring the pain in his body. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "If you want me to be, then yes, I am." Lyra's face lit with a smile brighter than any fire in the arena. She hugged him tightly, and Marcus's arms wrapped around her, steady and protective. The sight stirred the crowd. Even the elders shifted uneasily, for they had expected fear or resentment, not tenderness. Mercy had always been seen as duty, but in this moment it was clear that something deeper had been forged. As the three of them stood together in the arena's center, whispers spread like wildfire. Some aliens muttered that the law had gone too far, binding their people to an outsider. Others spoke with wonder, saying perhaps this was destiny, that the old laws had chosen a human for a reason. Marcus looked up at the elders, his voice calm but strong. "I didn't come here to take anything. I came as a traveler. But your law gave me a family. I won't run from it. I won't break it. I will protect them, no matter the cost." His words carried weight, not just to the council, but to every ear in the stands. The eldest elder regarded him for a long moment, then gave a slow nod. "So be it. The law accepts your vow. You are bound, human, until death." The crowd bowed their heads again, this time not in fear but in respect. As the council dismissed them, Syrah walked beside Marcus. Her voice was quiet, trembling with emotions she could no longer hide. "You are unlike anyone I have ever known. My people. They will speak of this for generations." Marcus glanced at her, his eyes steady. "Then let them. But for me, this isn't about their stories. It's about you." "And her." Syrah's steps faltered. For the first time, she felt a warmth that was not born of fear or tradition, but of choice. His choice. They left the arena together. No longer strangers bound by accident, but something far more dangerous to the old ways. A family forged in fire. The arena had fallen silent, but the whispers of the people spread far beyond its stone walls. A human had faced their sacred trial and lived. Not only lived, he had claimed victory. Some spoke with awe, others with doubt, but all agreed that nothing like this had happened in generations. Marcus walked slowly through the long hall that led out of the council chambers. His body ached from the wounds, but he stood tall. At his side, Lyra clung to his arm, her small steps quick to keep up with his. Sierra walked close behind, her silver eyes lowered, her thoughts heavy. When they reached the outer steps, the cool night air greeted them. The city below stretched like a sea of glowing lights, towers reaching into the stars. Yet the streets were not empty. Crowds had gathered, waiting. As soon as Marcus stepped outside, voices rose. Some cheered his name, though they could not even pronounce it properly. Others hissed, spitting words like curses. Sierra tensed, pulling her daughter close. "They will never all accept this," she whispered. Marcus glanced at her. "Then they don't have to. I didn't fight for them. I fought for you." The words struck her deeper than any law. She looked away quickly, hiding the heat in her cheeks. Guards cleared a path for them through the restless crowd. Every step Marcus took felt heavy with eyes, judgment, and whispers. Yet each time he felt the weight, he looked down at Lyra's trusting smile, and the burden became lighter. At last, they reached the small quarters the council had granted them for the night. Inside, the walls glowed faintly with blue patterns, soft and calm compared to the harsh arena. Marcus lowered himself onto a bench, wincing from his wounds. Sierra hurried to fetch water and cloth, her hands trembling as she cleaned the cuts across his arms. "You shouldn't be doing this," Marcus muttered. She gave him a sharp look. "You shouldn't have risked your life for us. Yet here we are." For a moment, silence filled the room. Lyra sat nearby, hugging the ration wrapper she still refused to let go of. To her, it was no longer food but a treasure, the moment a stranger had changed her life. Sierra finally spoke again, her voice softer. "Marcus, you don't know what this means. The law has bound us, yes, but more than that, you changed how they see us. They will talk about this night for generations." Marcus met her eyes. "And what about you? What does it mean to you?" Sierra hesitated. Her throat tightened. "It means, for the first time, I don't feel alone." Her words carried a weight Marcus could not ignore. He had seen loneliness in her eyes from the start, hidden beneath her strength. And now, for the first time, he felt he belonged to something more than duty, more than law. Before he could answer, a knock came at the door. A guard entered, bowing slightly. "The council has sent word. You are not prisoners, but neither are you free. The elders will watch you. They fear your bond may weaken their order." Marcus stood slowly. His voice was calm but firm. "Tell them this. I didn't ask for their law, but I won't run from it. I'll stand by it and by them." The guard studied him for a moment, then gave a small nod and left. Sierra sighed, her hands tightening around her daughter's shoulders. "They will never trust you fully. To them you are a threat. To me, you are something else." Marcus smiled faintly. Maybe that's enough. That night, as the city slept uneasily, Marcus sat near the window, staring at the alien stars. Lyra slept soundly against his arm while Sierra rested nearby, her head bowed in exhaustion. He whispered to himself, almost like a vow. "One meal, one choice, and now a family. I'll protect them, whatever comes next." Far in the council chamber, the elders spoke in hushed tones. "The law binds him," one said. "But he bends it," another replied. The eldest elder's voice cut through. "Perhaps that is what we need. Perhaps it is time the law changes." And so the story of a simple act of kindness began to echo through a civilization bound by chains of tradition. A story of a human who defied fear, who chose not out of duty but love. In the end, mercy had proven stronger than law, and beyond the ancient chains, a new future waited, one forged not by fear but by a bond no one could break.